Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Scott Selections here with winnersandwhiners.com. It's been a while before I could use that opening, or since I could use that opening, but yeah, I believe it's been a couple of months. But since regular sports are coming back, it's time to resume the daily pick show. And no better time than the start of the baseball season. Of course, the last couple of months have been crazy, and it's time to pat yourself on the back as you finally made it to the finish line. And you have baseball coming up today throughout, hopefully, the rest of the season. You also have basketball and hockey coming up within the next week or two. So it seems like you have made it through the eye of the storm. And without further ado, we're going to dive right in and talk about MLB opening day for the picks. Now, a couple of quick announcements with regard to the show. The show will take place every day on Winners and Whiners, so it'll no longer be on StatSalt. So keep that in mind for YouTube. And secondly, it's just nice to be back. If you have any comments, don't be afraid to say something about the show or any requests or anything like that down below. I know I've said that before, but in case you forgot, you can always ask me anything in the comment section below, and I will answer it. So other than that, though, we're going to be talking about one of the primetime MLB matchups taking place, and it's going to be on the earlier one between the New York Yankees and the Washington Nationals. And for the play, we're going to be taking the Yankees money line, which is available at minus 130 on FanDuel. I was originally looking at the Yankees over 3.5 runs, which was available at minus 133 on Fox Bet last night. However, as I went to bed, that line ended up jumping up another 10 cents to minus 143. And at that point, I didn't really feel comfortable giving that out. So instead, we're going to be talking about the Yankees money line, which is available at minus 130 on FanDuel. If you compare this to the rest of the market, offshore mostly has around minus 135 to minus 140. Fox Bet has minus 138, and DraftKings has minus 137. So at 130, you're getting a couple of cents here or there, and I do expect money to come in on the Yankees closer to first pitch. A couple of reasons why I like the Yankees in this matchup. First of all, you have to mention the pitching matchup here between Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer, which is one of the best opening day pitching matchups that I could remember. And if you want to talk about it, though, Scherzer has been great historically, of course. However, he was pretty underwhelming in the spring and the summer, now that you have the makeshift lead up to the season. Scherzer's ERA during spring training was 7.94. However, some of you might be wondering, well, that was back in March or even before then. Does that really apply? And the answer is yes, considering the fact that Scherzer struggled even more once he actually came back from the layoff, as Scherzer has had one official practice start or exhibition start, however you want to phrase it, since the return, and he ended up going 5 innings and he gave up 7 earned runs against the Phillies in his last start. So even though Scherzer has been great historically, and even though he's one of the best pitchers in the modern era, I'm a little bit concerned about his current form as he's entering this start off of a pretty lackluster performance against the Phillies, where he gave up 7 runs in the first 2 innings before settling down late. And with Garrett Cole, even though his numbers over the entire spring training weren't that great, most of his terrible numbers came before the layoff. Cole has not actually appeared in an exhibition game since the return. However, he did pitch in one of those scrimmages between the Yankees offense and the Yankees pitching. And Cole went 5 innings, gave up 1 hit. That 1 hit was a home run to Andujar, but you go 5 innings, 1 hit in comparison to 5 innings, 7 earned runs. I feel like Cole is definitely in better form leading up to this matchup. Plus, one thing you also have to wonder in this very unique circumstance has to do with starting pitchers and the pitch count, because of the fact that since both starters haven't had many reps to actually get back into the swing of things, and since there's only a 60-game season, you have to wonder if managers will be pulling the plug on their starters earlier than normal because of the fact that they're trying to keep them healthy for the bulk of the season, since every start's going to mean more. And the thing that concerns me there is the fact that the Nationals bullpen, even though they managed to piece it together for a World Series run, their bullpen still is one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball. And I know they ended up picking up Harris from the Astros, but that bullpen is still an absolute disaster in comparison to the Yankees. I know that the Yankees bullpen, you have to wonder about Chapman's availability with the COVID, but overall you still have Ottavino, you still have Chad Green, still have a lot of solid arms in that bullpen, and the Nationals really don't. I know Daniel Hudson's a decent closer. Other than that, though, you're really going to trust on Suaro and all these other guys? Not really. So the Yankees definitely have the edge in the bullpen. I think they personally have an edge in the starting pitching matchup. And the Yankees, as a whole, have a better lineup than the Nationals. I don't think that's even close. If you want to break down the actual lineup, I know that Juan Soto is a phenomenal baseball player, and he's one of my favorite players in the entire sport. However, I don't think you can replace the absence of Anthony Rendon. It's just so much to overcome. Rendon was so good last year, and he provided a lot of support on Soto, which kind of forced them to pitch to him, or even forced, really depending on the order, you could have also forced them to pitch to Rendon to do it Soto behind. You don't have that issue this year for opposing pitchers. The projected lineup for the Nationals will be Trey Turner at leadoff, solid option. Adam Eaton, pretty good number 2. You have Sterling Castro at batting third, according to the projections. I'm not a big Castro guy. I think he's a decent hitter. I think he's a pretty underwhelming fielder. I think he's an okay player. You have Juan Soto, who's tremendous. Then you have Kendrick in the DH spot, batting 5th. You have Eric Thames batting 6th, and I think Thames is a pretty good power hitter. Doesn't really get on base that much. I don't think he's that great of a player. You have Yan Gomes at the catcher spot, who's okay. You have Keyboom, who is a pretty good prospect, but hasn't really done much in limited action. And then you also have Victor Robles batting 9th. You compare that lineup to the Yankees lineup of LeMahieu, Judge, Gardner, Stanton, Torres, Sanchez, Hicks, Voit, and Urshela. Voit potentially interchangeable with either Andujar or Ford at first base. I actually would be surprised if Voit got the start. I think that either Ford, who's a lefty, or Andujar will get the start instead. But compare those two lineups. The Yankees lineup is head and shoulders better than the Nationals. And the thing is, I don't really know what the Nationals have that's better than the Yankees, besides questionably the starting pitching matchup with Scherzer and Cole, which I feel like if you look at that, it's a coin flip. But if you look at the actual recent results for Scherzer and Cole during the actual exhibition games, I think Cole's in better form. So I think the Yankees have the better starting pitcher in this matchup. I think they have the better lineup in this matchup. I think they have the better bullpen in this matchup. The only thing that's a bit concerning to me is the Yankees' track record on opening day, which is absolutely abysmal. If you are a Yankee fan, you'd know that. The Yankees typically struggle on opening day. But I really just think the Yankees should be a lot higher than minus 130. I understand that Scherzer is, of course, a tough pitcher to fade. But with his recent form and the fact that he might only go 5 or 6 innings for both starters before you turn it over to the bullpen, I have significantly more faith in the Yankees bullpen than the Nationals bullpen. And I think the Yankees should be able to score around 5 runs, give or take, in this game, where I think the Nationals might score around 2, potentially 3. I think if the Yankees decide to pitch to Soto, that's just extremely dumb. I don't know why anybody would pitch to Soto at this point, as he is just significantly better than every other hitter on the Nationals roster, where the Yankees have a plethora of options. You can't really pitch around Judge because you have Stanton and Torres. LeMahieu leads off, so you might get a guy on base early on. Even at the bottom of the lineup, Sanchez I'm not a big fan of, but he still has a lot of power. Hicks is a very solid hitter. Urshela batted roughly 300 last year. He's batting 9th. I mean, this lineup is just absolutely stacked. So once again, the play of the day here for the return of Scott Selections on Thursday, July 23rd, will be the Yankees money line, which is available at minus 130 on FanDuel. Other than that, though, that's good for the installment of Scott Selections here for Thursday, July 23rd. In terms of the leans, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing with those. I'm probably going to put those on the back burner for now, as I know our own Winning Willie wants to do a daily baseball show where we'll cover basically every game, and I don't want to step on his toes there. So for that reason, I think we're going to put the leans on hold for a little bit, potentially bring them back when you have more sports back into the fold. But play of the day, once again, is going to be the Yankees money line at minus 130 on FanDuel. Other than that, good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.